Housing bubble. The 2008 financial crisis had its roots in the U.S. housing market. In the early 2000s, a housing bubble began to form, fueled by easy access to credit and lax lending standards. Banks and other financial institutions gave out risky loans to individuals who could not afford to repay them, including subprime mortgages and adjustable-rate mortgages, ARMs. Housing bubble burst. In 2006, the housing bubble began to burst, causing housing prices to plummet and millions of Americans to default on their mortgages. This led to a wave of foreclosures and a decline in the value of mortgage-backed securities, MBS, which were held by many banks and investors. Subprime mortgage crisis. As the housing market deteriorated, the crisis spread rapidly throughout the financial system, as many banks and other institutions had invested heavily in these mortgage-backed securities. The resulting losses caused widespread panic and a freeze in lending, which led to a sharp contraction in economic activity. Global financial crisis. The crisis quickly spread beyond the U.S. to other countries around the world, as many banks and financial institutions had interconnected relationships and investments. The global financial system was highly interconnected, which made it difficult to contain the crisis. Lehman Brothers bankruptcy. In September 2008, Lehman Brothers, a major investment bank, declared bankruptcy, which sent shockwaves through the financial world. Many other institutions were also struggling, and there was a fear that the entire financial system could collapse. Government response. Governments around the world took action to stabilize the financial system, including bailing out troubled banks and providing emergency funding. The U.S. government passed the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, which provided hundreds of billions of dollars in support to banks and other financial institutions. Global economic impact. The crisis had a profound impact on the global economy, with many countries experiencing severe recessions and high unemployment. The International Monetary Fund estimated that global output shrank by 0.6% in 2009, the first decline since World War II. Regulatory reforms. The crisis led to significant regulatory reforms in the financial sector, with many countries implementing stricter regulations and oversight of financial institutions. The U.S. passed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act in 2010, which aimed to prevent a similar crisis from happening again. Political consequences. The crisis had significant political consequences, with many voters expressing anger at the banks and financial institutions that were seen as responsible for the crisis. This led to the rise of populist movements in many countries and a questioning of the global economic order. Individual impact. The crisis also had a significant impact on individual households, with millions of people losing their homes, jobs, and life savings. The long-term effects of the crisis continue to be felt by many people, particularly those who have struggled to recover financially. Continuing concerns. While the global economy has recovered since the crisis, many analysts argue that the underlying issues that led to the crisis have not been fully addressed. There is a concern that a similar crisis could occur in the future, particularly as new technologies and financial innovations continue to reshape the financial sector.